Well, it looks as if he can hit the reds direct easy enough, but both the referee and John had a long look. Not sufficient of the red sticking out for John to take the cue ball away. Stephen can do now off the red just above the cue ball. But he's a bit concerned about leaving a route to the red to the left corner there. If he doesn't get it behind the yellow or the brown or green.
I don't think they've got an option at the moment. All John can do is just tickle into the red. He had a couple of goes at it, but it's not like golf. There's no such thing as a fresh air shot at snooker. When they're close like that, it's you're frightened of pushing the shot.
Well, Stephen, with a 58-point lead, really doesn't want a stalemate. So it's in his interest to open the things up a bit, I think. Without, of course, leaving John an easy potting chance. John can get away from the red to the left there, but he was still perhaps leave Stephen a chance on another red, so... Bit of a tricky situation for both players at the moment.
It was quite easy that last time for Stephen Hendry just to go down the table, but he doesn't want to leave John Higgins even a half chance. John's had a quick look round at the scoreboard. I'm not sure if John's thinking of taking the red on this up towards the yellow or not. No, he's just glancing off the red.
And although Stephen Hendry has got 10 years experience under his belt, his young opponent's only got 3. Nevertheless, John Higgins has got an old head on those shoulders. And forced Stephen to have a go, and Stephen made the error, but the fluke has come to his rescue.
Yes, what a time to get a fluke for Stephen Hendry. Because just look where he left the cue ball. It would have been a great chance for John Higgins.
Six.
Well,
Stephen Hendry 6.
64 points in front, 59 on. He should have made sure then of that frame, but as in the last frame when John Higgins did pretty much the same thing, he's left a loophole for his opponent. John Higgins finally did win the frame, but not without a lot of sweat and toil.
Frame conceded.
Yes, John.
Frame, Stephen Hendry.
Now realises that he won't get back into it, so Stephen Hendry levels the match again at 3 frames each.
Well, 3-all, they still can't split them. I said at the beginning, this interesting meeting between the top 2 players in the world. This is actually the 3rd tournament this season, the first major one in the UK. They've played a couple, one in Scotland and Thailand. Interesting to see what they've done so far. There it is, the Scottish Masters, which Stephen Hendry managed to win, beating Peter Ebdon 9-5, but John went out in the quarter-finals, 6-5 to Ronnie O'Sullivan. Then they went all the way up to Thailand, which actually is a ranking tournament, like this one is, which counts towards the points for the season. And Stephen Hendry beaten in the semi-finals by John Parrott, who the round before had knocked out John Higgins. And if you're wondering where all those are, well, Peter Ebdon was knocked out here quite early on the 3rd round by Joe Swell, and as for Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Parrott, they were gone even before we got here. Very surprise early exits from this year's Grand Prix. John, 3-all now. They're still there together. It's neck and neck stuff, isn't it?
It is. Stephen was a bit lucky there. He made a mistake. John Higgins, as Ray and Dennis said, he's really played some lovely safety shots, and considering he's so young and he's inexperienced, he looks the more experienced player. It's amazing.
How are you comparing Stephen Hendry's performance here in the final with his previous performances here this week in the Grand Prix? I mean, against Darren Morgan, awesome, a little bit of struggle in the last one, but how do you think he's playing compared to the other matches?
Well, I mean, against Fergal O'Brien, it could have quite easily gone 4 apiece. So there's still slight flaw there. It's early in the season, you know, Stephen will be looking to peak for the World Championship. So there still are rough edges with Stephen, and it's up to John Higgins to capitalise on it.
You were saying earlier that you felt that Hendry occasionally plays one shot too many. What do you actually mean by that? Well,
if he has a problem, Stephen, and he has a choice between a very difficult safety shot and a difficult pot, he'll always go for the pot, and it's a risky line to draw.
How do you compare? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but you know, you've got to look for a weakness, and I think that weakness is what people should be looking to exploit.
So what's the crucial point of this match so far? Is it the potting, or is it the safety, or what? Who's coming out on top in each department?
Neither player has really raised the game to the level which we know they're both capable. And I think it's going to be the one person who just strings a few frames together, makes a couple of 90s, first chance, clears the table, and to get a couple of frames in front, it's going to be hard for the other man to come back. But at the moment, who that's going to be, I'm not certain.
You see, because as soon as somebody strings in, we saw this with Hendry, 3-0 down against Steve James, and then suddenly, what a comeback, whacks in a 1-3-8, and James suddenly thought, my goodness, the game suddenly changed. A big break and a big century can make a lot of difference.
Oh, I think it relaxes a player, and he's got nothing to prove then to the audience. But at the moment, they're both fighting to try and get that breakthrough, if you like.
Okay, 3-all, and Stephen Hendry's taking a little break away from the arena. Here he comes, marching back.